Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are. Hello, Barb. Well, you were obviously sitting there waiting for me. Here we go. I'm just checking my other computer and I can see that we're live. How are you this morning, Barb? How is everyone? Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are. Okay, that was a little technical glitch with a little bit of interference. I had another window open I shouldn't have. Sorry for the feedback, but I think we're good now. So hopefully sound is good and it's not too loud or not too soft. Let me know. All right. I don't know why I get so flustered when I come in to my lives. You think I'd be so used to it by now, but I never ever am. So I have not got any sort of graphics done today, so there's no housework to do. Hello, Brenda. Sound is great. Thank you. All right. It is a very hot day here in South Australia today. We are expecting to be high 30s, low 40s. I'm tucked away in my little craft den with the air conditioning on, so I'm happy. So I hope everyone else is. Sharon may not come on. I haven't heard from her this morning, but because it's such a hot day, she might be prepping for that. So the only thing that I really got to show you before we actually start creating is the new product of the month has come into my house yesterday, so I'd like to show you that if you don't have it already. Hello, Monica. How are you? So I'm going to, without delay, jump across to my craft desk and hope that works. Okay, that's working. We'll put some light on the situation and pull in. Sharon's here. Hello, Sharon. How are you going over at your place on this very hot day? I think you're the only one from South Australia that's come in at the moment. You had rain last night, Barb. That's excellent news. So the product of the month came into my classroom, to my craft room yesterday. So I thought we'd just have a quick look because this was the page on top and I thought, wow, that's pretty nice. So this is the product that you can get in Australia, and it's a $125 purchase. You get the option to purchase this as an add-on for $9. So it's warm, Sharon. I bet it is. All right, so it's 12 by 12 paper, our normal layout. There's 6 designs, I believe, and they are 2 of each sheet. So that is sheet 1, and on the reverse is a much lighter pattern. I love this one. Then there's this one, which is very pretty as well. And on the reverse of that is another pattern, graphic sort of pattern on the white. Then this is another quite stunning, I believe that's Night of Navy, quite stunning paper. And on the back of that is another graphic design, but not so white this time. Busily preparing for your visitors this weekend, Monica. It's that time of year, isn't it? Yes, I think we might be warmer than you guys in Queensland. Ours is a very reasonably dry heat, and there is supposed to be a bit of wind around, which is a bit of a problem for the fire risk. So the wind it's a hot wind, but it does sort of make it a little bit better than just that humid stillness. Now this one is gorgeous. I wonder which way this goes up. I don't think it really matters. No, I think it goes up this way. This way. Very pretty. This is balmy blue. And then on the back is another, that's quite a lovely design too. a directional design, and then this one with that's a very pretty little one on the back of there, and then this one which has the same as this blue one but just in the lighter colour. So very pretty. I am looking forward to creating with that. I'm going to have to put my thinking cap on as to how I utilise it and share it with everyone. So when I work that out, I'll let you know. Starting to warm up where you are, Barb. So Barb's up in Queensland too. And it is the hot time of the year in Queensland. Christmas is very traditionally quite hot, whereas here in South Australia, it can be very hot, but also it can be very cold. So we have that sort of Melbourne-ish weather. Now, another thing I really wanted to show you was I got this beautiful card from my very talented sister. She's travelling around Australia at the moment. At the moment, they're over in Perth, and she has been utilising her travel time to take lots of time to create, and she does beautiful, beautiful watercolours, oils. She works in all sorts of mediums. But she's so talented, and she sent me this absolutely gorgeous card, which I just had to share because she's painted that herself, and she's done all different ones for the family apparently. Very, very gorgeous. All right, now we can move on to crafting. So today we're going to use the Brushed with Beauty suite. I'm not using the paper, just using the dies. Now, mainly the floral dies. We're going to explore some different ways to create the florals in the Petals of Beauty bundle, which does come with the stamps and then also the dies. So we'll be using those. I'll just use the words out of the Words of Beauty, which is the sister bundle to go with this one. But I'm just going to use some of these smaller words. I'm not using the feature of this bundle, which is those large words that I used last time I created with this. So just the flowers mainly today. Now, we are going to do something very scary, and we are going to make 2 cards. I know, and you're going to think she's going to be here for 2 hours, but I hope not. So I'll just give you, we're going to create 1 card that's a little over the top, and then we're going to tone it down a little bit. And the very first thing we are going to do is create a little background piece. Now I'm going to wait for all of the groans, but today I am using Mossy Meadow. Groan, groan, groan. I hear everybody go. So I've got my card bases done and ready to go. So we've got a card base in Mossy Meadow, which is your standard size, and then I've got a layer to go on top, which I've also cut out of Mossy Meadow, and I've embossed. So I've done a few things ahead so we aren't here all day, and I've embossed it with the beautiful pattern 3D embossing folder. Now, it's also an online exclusive, and if I remember correctly, and I don't have the paperwork in front of me, it is part of the Brushed with Beauty suite, but those of you who are better in the know can let me know if that's correct or not. I do not love Mossy Meadow, and can you believe it? These were my last sheets of Mossy Meadow, so I have to actually order Mossy Meadow, and that just, like, I have to put this ugly paper in my shopping cart, and it's sort of like, oh my goodness. But anyway, I decided to, I've decided personally that I'm going to give Mossy Meadow some love because it's unfair and not very good-spirited of me to just condemn a paper because I might not like it. So we are using Mossy Meadow, and it looks okay there, doesn't it? And doesn't it look pretty with the texture on it? Anyway, this is what we're doing. So for our easier card, we're going to do a very simple first step, which is to adhere that to the background. Very simple. Start. The other one is not going to be so lucky. I am going to take this piece of Mossy Meadow card and I am going to do lots of different things to it. I'm going to really punish this Mossy Meadow card for being Mossy Meadow. No, I'm not. I'm using it. It should be happy. All right, so that's just a layer. Now, I will tell you, I've got little bits of black ink everywhere, and you'll see why in a minute, because I've probably got it all over my fingers and hands. But that's just going onto there like that. First step for simple card. Now, this poor card is not going to get away with it that easy. So we're going to start with a little bit of gold embossing. So I'm going to grunge this up a little bit. So I've got some gold embossing powder, and we will use the embossing buddy, though we probably don't really need to. And I've got a sponge dauber that I use for Versamark ink. Now, I do have Versamark here somewhere. Yes, here we go. So we'll just give this a quick wipe over on the textured side, the bit with all the dots. And I'm going to grab my sponge dauber and put a bit of Versamark on it. And then we're going to just add Versamark to the piece. Now I'm just going to grab some paper because I'm going to get gold embossing powder absolutely everywhere here. So I'll concentrate on the edges because a lot of that will disappear anyway, and you'll see that anyway. So very, very lightly, and working in strokes that are all the same way and not just making little circles. So making sure that I drag it on and very lightly drag it onto the card. So hopefully this Versamark is hitting some of these high points, and in some areas it will go down into the back of the pattern and be quite thick, just depending on the pressure that you put on it. So now I'm going to add gold powder to this, and this is just all a bit of a trial and error, and it will totally be different every time that you do it. So I've got quite a bit of gold on here. Now the beauty of this is that you can remove it if you think you've got too much on this. So if you've been a little heavy-handed in some areas, you can remove it. Just pop that over there out of the road, and you just grab a brush. Now I did grab a brush and brought it out, and if you have a look and see and think, well, this might be a bit heavy here, just sort of roughly remove it anywhere that you think might be a bit too heavy. You don't want it to be, we want that mossy meadow to show through. I don't dislike it that much that I'm going to cover it up. Right, so now we've got sort of more of a random bits of gold. So I'll just tip this down here into my rubbish bin. And put this back, because when I blow this with the heat tool, a lot of the little tiny bits on the top of the pattern itself will blow everywhere. Get my heat tool. Now, Sharon tells me that it's not too loud when I do the embossing. So let's trial it. I'll leave this one on, and then you can let me know if it's too loud and you'd prefer me to hit the mute button when I'm doing the embossing. So here goes. We'll do one in first. And I'm not sure if my voice carries over the top or not when I talk. We did experiment a bit with the sound. So now that the heat tool is heated up, it shouldn't take too long. To get this all melted. Your voice does carry over the top? Oh, excellent. That's good to know. Okay, so just make sure your one end is all melted, and then we'll swap it around and do the other end. Okay. Now we've got a little bit of gold on there. Okay. That all seems to be sticking. Get rid of this paper. Still have managed to get gold embossing powder everywhere. Just get rid of all that. Okay. It's not done yet. This is going to be a Cheryll card. So we're going to distress the edges. I'm just going to use my paper snips. Now, different papers react differently when you do this. Now, I've noticed with Mossy Meadow that it's very, very fluffy. So some papers react differently. Some will tear, some will fluff up like this, but Mossy Meadow is very fluffy. Look. And I wonder how loud that scraping is. Well, if the embossing tool wasn't that too loud, then the scraping hopefully won't be too loud either. It's quite loud here. Right. So you can do that as much or as little or not at all. As I always say with my cards, you can leave out about 1,000,000 steps and still have a lovely card. Maybe not 1,000,000. Been known to exaggerate. Right. Now let's get rid of all of that fluff so we don't get it in our ink pads. Now I'm going to bring in my trimmer and I'm going to trim this down. Now I did write the measurements down so I'd remember. So we're going to trim it. We're going to trim 2 centimetres off this edge. So now it'll be hard to line up to the top because it's a bit fluffy. So use your measurement at the top here and your next one down just to make sure that you are pretty straight. Oops, and I just moved that then. And I suppose I could have done this before I did the distressing, but I thought it would be really hard to distress these little tiny edges. So the next measurement was going to be I'm going to cut a 3 centimetre strip out of the middle of this. So we need to put it to 3, same thing, line it up both ends. You can also use this line down here just to make sure that you've got it relatively straight. And then this piece, you can either use it on the inside or use it for something else, but it's not going to be used in this project. So now we've got 2 pieces of Mossy Meadow. They very much do not resemble what they started out as. Okay, so now we've got our card front and this is going to go on here like this. So we need to put something in here. So to do that, now we're going to bring in the stamps. So I've got a strip of cardstock, it's white, and I've cut it to the same dimension, which was my first layer dimension, which was 14.3, and we will have to trim it down a bit, but I'll wait till I've stamped because you can see that now that I've fluffed up those edges, it's a little bit longer and I don't want it to be longer. This is going to sit in underneath and we're going to stamp on it. So let's get that done. So we're using out of the Petals of Beauty. I've got them all over here on blocks. We're going to use the what I call the fill-in stamps. So the ones that you normally stamp, this is 2-step stamping, you'd stamp the outline and then you do the fill-in stamps to colour them. So I'm just going to use the fill-in stamps. So I've got them here. That's the big one and the smaller one. The colours I'm going to use are, just grab all the bits here. Some blending brushes. So I've got Crushed Curry and Daffodil Delight. So Daffodil Delight will be the light shade and we'll add some Crushed Curry to it. And then Petal Pink and Calypso Coral will be the other shading. So a light and a dark in similar tones. So let's do the Calypso Coral first. Now let me see what I've got here. Okay. Now, Petal Pink we're going to just stamp with, so I can open that one up. I'm just going to get all the stuff out of the road here. And with the Calypso Coral, I will need a block. That's what I was humming about. Where are my blocks? Here they are. So I'll put some Calypso Coral on a block because I'm going to be blending with that one. A lot of Calypso Coral. And once we've done that, we'll work on the yellow ones. But for the moment, we'll just do the pinky ones so that I don't mix up my inks. So ink it up with Petal Pink. Now I have just re-inked all of these so they're quite juicy, which might give me a totally different look than what I'm expecting. We'll see how we go. You can see that's quite, you can see the ink on there, which I couldn't before, so we'll see. So now I'm going to add my ink. Now I could use a sponge dauber, but I did try this and the sponge dauber doesn't work as well as the blending brush in my opinion. So I'm going to use the blending brush. I'm just going to pick a little bit up and I'm going to tap it into the center and then just tap it out towards the edge. So, and I don't know if you can see on screen, but I can sort of see to make sure that there's not too many harsh edges. And you know what, I think my Petal Pink might be, I'm going to try this. I don't have any other white card here, but I'm just going to try it on my scrap of paper. Find a scrap. I'm aiming for a really light look here, so I just don't want that to be too harsh where I've re-inked the ink pad. It's a little bit, so I might take a little bit of the ink off this pad for a minute. Just close this up. Right, that might be a bit better. Let's try that again. Well, it's still quite inky, but we'll work with it. So tap into the middle. And just make sure that you don't end up with a circle. You just want to tap those edges so that they blend. So let's see what we've got. And we're going to do a random pattern. So we're going to start off the edge. Oh, look how pretty that is. So it's Petal Pink with a little bit of Calypso Coral, quite soft, not as harsh as Calypso Coral is. As you can see, it's quite a dark colour. So blending it into the middle does make it a lot softer, and that's what I'm aiming for. It's a really soft look. So that's okay, and we'll just sort of fairly close. Oh yes, that's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Again, tap into the middle. Now, when I turn that up, can you see that? That's quite harsh in the middle there. So I'm just going to tap out the edges a little bit. That's a bit better. So just, and I'm sort of twisting the stamp around so that the flowers aren't all in the same orientation. And we'll do one more down the bottom. Now I'm not cleaning this off in between because most of the ink is coming off, so I'm not putting any of the Calypso Coral, which is only a little bit anyway, back into that Petal Pink ink pad. So there's no, unless you get something, a foreign body on here from the blending brush, there's no real need to re-ink that one. A bit more. And then we'll just pop that one down there. Now while I've got this out, I am going to do, I think I'm going to do an inside piece, but I'm not sure where it is. Maybe I put it, maybe I already did it. Oh no, here's one I did earlier. All right, I've already done, so this is my piece to go on the inside, which is also the 10 by 14.3 or the first layer. Lucia, hello, how are you? It's not lovely to see you here. So yeah, so I've done 3 of those flowers just on a panel down the side. This is going to go on the inside. So while you've got all your inks out, do your inside piece at the same time. And I've done 3 down one side of the panel. And I'll finish this off as we go. So I just wanted to get a little bit ahead. So that's all of our pink done. I'm just going to put this aside because we will do something else with that in a second. And we'll move on to the yellow. The yellow is crushed curry and daffodil delight. So we'll stamp with the daffodil delight and shade with the crushed curry. So I'll pop some of that on the block. Grab the small stamp, which is this little one. So this is the fill-in stamp again, so not the outline one. So we'll ink up with Daffodil Delight, which again I have inked this, and I don't know what I did with that other piece of card that I just had. Here it is. So I'll just do a quick check and see whether this one's too inky now as well. I think that'll work. It's not bubbly, so it's not as soft as it was before, but it'll work. Right, so we'll ink that up and we'll add our crushed curry to the centre. Now, there's not going to be a lot of difference here. Crushed curry is not too much darker when you apply it like this, but it'll just give that centre a little bit of extra. So we're going to fill in where the holes were, where the gaps, not holes, gaps, and there's our... You can see there's not a lot of difference. It's still a little bit bubbly. I might actually take some off there as well. So the reason I'm doing this is I just went through and reinked all these this morning because they were getting a little bit light. So obviously when you first re-ink them, they take a little while for the ink to bed in. Right, let's see if that's any better. A bit better. Again, do the inside. Centre, and we'll do it in this gap here. Doesn't matter if they go over a little bit. Again, there's not a lot of difference because my Daffodil Delight is very dark now. We're going to add some other bits, so it'll be good. You can see there's a little bit of difference in the middle there. Just a subtle shading. This gap in here, and then we'll do our inside piece while we've got our ink out. Just put a little bit of crushed curry in there, and we'll just fill these gaps in. Now these are going to go over the top, but it doesn't matter. I'll do this one here. We'll come out this way a little bit, shall we? Here we go. All right, they're my yellow. Don't think I need those yellows anymore, so I'll just put those over here out of the road. I just end up in such a mess every single time, and I've got the biggest desk in the world, so I will need my crushed curry again because I'm going to add flower centres to these flowers. I'm going to use the single small centre image out of. So there's a couple of different ones. There's this little one here which goes in the centre of these flowers, and then you can stamp these flowers and put these centres in the middle. But I'm just going to use a single one, a crushed curry, and go into the centre of all the yellow flowers to start with. Now rotate this around as you have your, doesn't really fit anyway, just any old way, but just don't do them all the same. So do all the yellow ones. And then we will do, I'm going to do the pink ones with yellow as well. I did try the crushed curry and even, not the crushed curry, the Calypso coral, and even stamped off, it was just a bit harsh. So we'll put yellow centres in our Calypso coral and petal pink flowers. Okay, so now we're looking like a background. We've got all this white space though, and I wasn't sure how to fill that in. So what I have done is, let me get rid of that ink, put these little inky blocks where I can't put things in them. What I did was I added some soft sea foam, the lightest colour I could find, which was soft sea foam, and I'm adding this little flower here, which is what I call, well, there's no real fill-in for this one because that's not really an outline, it's just a centre, but it's quite a large centre. But it's what I call the solid or the fill-in stamp. So I'm going to ink it up with the moss. Now this, I didn't re-ink this one, thankfully, but I still need to stamp it off because I want it to be really light to a point. I want some light and some dark. So I'm just going to lightly touch off and fill in between. Now, because you've gone quite light, the background image is quite light, and it doesn't matter if it goes over the flowers so much. If you want it to be really light, press hard when you stamp off, and then it's a lot lighter and you can't see the pattern as much. It's very indistinct, but I quite like having quite a few in a darker shade in behind. And it doesn't matter if they go over the flowers and stand out on the flowers. I was stressed about that when I started, but then once I got into it, I thought, oh, some of them look quite nice being dark, so that's what I did. So we'll just go and fill in all of the white space. Just like that. This white space here. So now I like this, but I want more of it, so I'm just going to lightly stamp off and add a little bit of heavier texture in a couple of places, just so that it's not just that one space. This needs to be done here, I think. It's a bit light. Here we go. We've got some white space in here, which we'll do quite lightly, just to fill in. It's amazing how even the lightest amount of soft sea foam will make a difference. So then there's my background piece sort of filled in the back with a little bit of texture. So we will add some of that to the inside piece as well. Like that, and then that fills that piece in, and that's our inside done. You could add a sentiment if you want to, but I'm not going to, so we'll pop that aside. Now we've got our background pattern piece, we can go ahead and glue our cards together for the front. So this is finished. We'll put this on the inside while we're here. Go ahead and do that. Good, you've got this set, Brenda? It's good to hear. It is a lovely, lovely set. The more you look at it, the more things you can think of to do with it. Oops, some ink down here. Got an extra leaf where we shouldn't have. Now this one is going to go on the front, so let's have a little look where we're going to position it. Somewhere here, because this is going to go over the top. Now we'll have to trim it down because remember we fluffed our edges, so now these are shorter. It's going to go in here. I want a lot of the yellow to show, so we might do... So we might do it up. We'll do it this way, but I will put it quite close to the edge there so that these yellow flowers show more, because this is going to cover up those. Let me have a look. What about this way? Yeah, we might do it that way, even though there's quite a bit of a gap. We'll cut that off. Right, so bring in our trim. Now we only need to take off a smidgen, not even probably a measurement, just a smidgen. Let's have a look. You can see it's just a tiny little whisker you need to take off the top. Tiny little whisker. Let's see if I've got it or if I have to wrangle a smaller cut. Haven't used it yet? You'll have to get it out because it is stunning to use. Right, That's pretty good. Now I'm going to put the pattern piece down flat, and then I'm going to pop these pieces up with dimensionals. So we need to work out where we want to put it so that I get a lot of yellow showing. So we're going to put it right close to the edge there. And this piece, a lot of it will be covered over. And like if you really wanted to, you could do this piece first, work out how much is being covered over, slice it off, and then use that piece on the inside instead of stamping your inside. My mind doesn't work like that. I create, and it's not till after I finish something and I think, oh, I probably could have done that a little bit better. But, you know, there is that piece under there, and you could take it off and use it somewhere else. In fact, maybe I should do that instead of, I will not waste it by hiding it. I will take it off. It's too pretty to hide. Can you remember where it was? Well, we know that there's a 3 centimetre gap, so if I cut it to 4, we should be pretty safe. So there I've got a little piece of designer series paper I could use. I could have easily used that on the inside. I didn't think that far ahead. I get very excited when I create something, and it's usually the morning I'm doing the live, and then it's, you know, go, go, go. All right, so that's how it's going to go on. So we know we want that piece to be about there. So because I know that my memory doesn't work very well and I will not remember where that goes once I take that away, I am going to make a little pencil mark just there so I remember. All right, glue that on with some liquid glue. Flat, I've still got it the right way up. Lay it down next to the pencil line and put it in the centre. Hopefully that's nice and straight. And then these two will go up with dimensionals. Now, where are my dimensionals? In here. Many ways you could do this. There is, there's this stuff, foam tape, and you could just cut it and put long bits on. It is a little bit wider than, just a fraction, it's not much, but it's just a fraction higher than regular dimensionals. So I'm not going to use that because I don't want it to be too high, because I do have another layer with dimensionals on as well. So I don't want a skyscraper card. Now you can use all your edges, and you can see that I have used all of the edges out of here. So if you're not using edges, you know, a lot of people would just do this. Maybe that, and that would be good for them. Unfortunately, that doesn't work for me. I like to have lots and lots of dimensionals, and it's not because I'm wasteful, although you may think so. I just like my things to stay really, really up if they're going to be up. So that will work a bit better for me. And then this one, well, you could use your strips, like one strip here. The mini dimensional strips are very, very thick. And then I don't have any others ready to go, so we'll just use regular dimensionals on the rest. And now I've got this gap here, which I'm not real happy about, and I don't think these will fit. Didn't think that through very well, did I? I do have some minis here. Oh, right in front of me. Just let me grab my Take Pick tool, grab some of these little ones and just fill in these little gaps here. Isn't it funny? Some of us are just really cruisy with our dimensionals, and then there are some of us that aren't. I'm a knot girl. I'm definitely a probably use way too more dimensionals than are necessary. Right, Now we need to get this straight on this side. And then this one. So just I wonder if I counted up the amount of hours that I spend taking back soft dimensionals. It's probably another good reason to not use so many, because it's such a, not wasted time, but time that I could be doing something else. Just taking the back soft dimensionals. I'll line that up. Hopefully that's nice and straight. I'm working over the camera here, so see how we go. All right, so there we've got our front and our inside done. So now we've just got to do the feature piece to go on the front, but we will also work on our more simple card at the same time. So this is the one where we've just glued that piece onto the back, and I have already stamped a background piece, and I'm going to adhere this onto here just like that. No fuss. Now if this is a front opening card, I've already done the inside for this one as well. I'm going to have to work out whether I can hide that little piece of black ink. Now I realise that I've missed a step to this one. Everyone's probably going, oh thank goodness she missed a step. And the paper's probably going, thank goodness she missed a step. And probably not a bad idea because it's very messy. But I have made these cards already, so I will show you what it looks like. And that's the reason why I got black ink everywhere. I actually made a big mess with black ink. I'm pretty sure I can't fix it now. Pretty sure. I don't have anything here. I could try and do something with it, but it might not work, so I will leave it. I'll leave it off this one. Thank goodness they're all going. You use more than you need to. You're all heavy dimensional users. Saggy's not good. I agree, Barb. No saggy bottoms here. So yes, it's it's just a personal thing though. Now, we're going to do two different fronts on this. So we'll do the simple one first because it's simpler. It just goes to show you a different way to use these stamps. So I'm going to do some pink flowers. And I'm again going to use petal pink and calypso coral. So we're continuing that theme. If I can find the petal pink ink. This seems to be a recurrent theme of my lives, doesn't it? If I can find something. Hello, Mary. Cool, it's lovely to have you here. All right, so petal pink again will be the light colour, and we will again do some blending with the calypso coral. So I've got leftover ink on this block, but this time we're going to put the outline on it, and I will clean that stamp. We're going to put the outline on it because there is an outline stamp. So this is not so soft as this one. Just clean that off. But I'm going to start with the outline first. It's easier for me anyway to start with the outline first. It's darker, and then it's easier for me to line the lighter fill-in stamp up. Now, calypso coral is very, very dark, especially because I re-inked these, didn't I? So it's quite dark, and I don't want it that dark, so I am going to stamp it off. All right, so we'll stamp it off. We'll stamp it here. Yes, that's much softer. And again, stamp it off and stamp one here. We need two. And then, pop that aside, we will do the middle bit in the same fashion that we did before. So I'll ink up with the petal pink and do a little bit of blending with the calypso coral. Just in the middle. And now to line it up. So there is sort of what I call the swinging out petal, and there's a swinging out petal here, so that does make it reasonably easy. And then because we've got that outline to follow, should be able to get it reasonably okay. And there we go. So we've got the petal pink flower with a little bit of blending in the middle and the outline around the edge. That gives you a very different look to this one. So again, we'll ink this up and put some blending in the middle. Now, you can use, as I said, the sponge dauber. It does, it's a little harsher and a little more difficult to blend it out, but you might be an adept hand with the sponge dauber and be able to do that. Again, we'll line this one up. There we go. Obviously, the small blending brushes do work a lot better. So that's our 2 flowers, which we can die cut. So I'll get all this out of the road. We will need petal pink again, so I'll just keep that handy so I don't lose it. And we will need some more of this Calypso Coral also for our other card. So let's set those aside for a minute because we will die cut everything together. So we'll set those aside and we will work on, so these are the flowers for this card. And we'll work on the flowers for this card, which are going to be done in a slightly different way. I'm going to stamp them onto Fluid 100 watercolour paper and I'm going to gold emboss them. So this is a scrap that I had left over that I have already run through the Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine. And I'm going to stamp the outline images of the large flower, which currently is covered in Calypso Coral ink. So we'll clean that off. And we will ink that up with some Versamark. We'll need our embossing buddy. And we'll need that gold powder back again. I'm going to need 2 of these. You have to look because the outline image is almost, it looks the same as the inside one, and I have to keep double checking I've got the right one. But I think I have. Do one at one end and one at the other. Emboss them both together. Oops. Didn't use my embossing buddy very well there, did I? Flick. Now, I didn't use it very well, and we're going to die cut this, but I will take all this excess off. I had that paintbrush before, yes. So I'm just going, I'll work over here. Just take all this off. It's mainly this one that I'm going to have to try and... This is not the most ideal brush. It's very large. I'm not sure that I've got a smaller one out here. Let me have a quick look over here in my little box of tricks. This one might work. Oh, it's got glue on it. That won't work. What about this one? This one's got a bit of a fine tip. Been used for paint, but and we are going to die cut this, so these outside edges here don't really matter. It's mainly the... There we go. All right, saved the day. Put this out of the road. And let's, I've got powder everywhere. I'm a shocker. So messy. All right, let's do this. Again, hopefully not too loud. They're all melted. And this one. So I hope everyone's in their craft rooms today. Crafting. doing something fun, relaxing and de-stressing a little bit. It's been a crazy, crazy world here lately, just generally here over in Australia, so it's nice to do something a little bit relaxing. Okay, we are going to watercolour these, so I will need that little bit of Calypso coral ink that I've got left here, and I'm going to colour these up with the petal pink. So I will just do that. Will I squeeze it? No, I'll get a block. Let me find a block. So you can squeeze the ink into the top of your ink pad, but I might need a little bit more than that there, so I'll put some on a block. And then I will find my water brush. I had a larger one, which I don't know where that is. We'll use the fine one. There's 3 different sizes. This is the very fine one. Now it's got plenty of water in it. I don't have my jar of water here today, but we'll should be able to work. This one squeezes nicely. Add a little bit of ink to that. We're going to work straight in onto the dry paper, and I'm just going to spread the ink around. I'm not going to be too fussy. I just want the colour in there. Okay, we'll move on to this one. That'll give that one over there a little bit of a chance to dry a bit. When I add the Calypso, I don't want it to just bleed out into the petal pink and cover it up totally. So giving it a little bit of a chance to dry is good. I don't want to dry it totally because I do want it to blend a little bit. All right, so there we've got some, just a little bit more depth in the middle. See, this one's very dry and you can see it's not blending out as much as this one has. So what I'm going to do is just push that out a little bit so that it's not, doesn't make a big line. I mean, you might like the watercolour line. I want some bit of blending in this one. All right, I'm just going to give that a quick wave around. Just a quick dry. Sorry.
Duncan Richter, WhatsApp audio.
That was my husband, and he's on, even though I've got it on Do Not Disturb, my husband is I hope it's not urgent. I can't answer it because he'll cut my video off. Maybe I could send him a message. I'll just send him a quick message over here. I'll ask him if it's urgent. Dunk. Oh, he was going to try again. Maybe he'll just text me. It's unusual for him to actually ring me, so we'll see what he says. All right, so I'm just adding in a little bit of the Calypso into the centre. So I've only got 3 people on my Do Not Disturb list. My husband and my 2 daughters. Not urgent, sorry. Oh, good. I can stop worrying. All right. Now, you can see that that is hasn't blended because I have let it dry, which was intentional. I didn't want it to just flood, but now I do want to blend those edges. So I'm just going to go back in with my petal pink and just blend a little bit out like that. Now I'm just going to leave that dry while I get rid of that message. There we go. Just going to leave that dry while we go and die cut the other two that we just did. I'll get rid of these bits of messy stuff and pull out the dies. So that's this die which cuts out that flower, and I'll get a little bit of tape and quickly run those through the machine. Now again, got to twist it around till you work out where it lines up. Find the swingy bit. There we go. Take it down. I'll just run this through over here quickly. While you watch my paint dry here. Right, we'll do this one. Go a little bit longer than normal today, but it's 2 cards, so hopefully you're in your programs. All right. So there are 2. You know what I didn't put in the middle was the little crushed curry centre, which is here somewhere. Here it is. We'll quickly do that. Hardly makes any difference. So we are going to put little embellishments in the middle, but in case they don't quite go in the middle, it just finishes that off. So that's my 2 flowers for the simple card. They're going to go on there like that. And then these are going to be the one that sort of matches in with the gold. Now they are sort of dry. I really don't want to hit them with the heat tool, but I'm going to have to so that we can move forward. I don't want to melt my gold powder, so I'll put it on gentle. And I'll just maybe do it from the back. Lost my cord. Just try and get that, just so that I can run them through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine without damaging them. And they've got quite a nice watercolour look to them now. Okay, that'll do. Right. And I cut this one. Now I'm going to add some leaves, but I do have those die cut already, so that's a bit of a time saver. We are going to have to colour them though, but they won't take long. Right. Always conscious of the time because I know everyone's busy, especially at this crazy time of the year. Right. So let's try and cut those out. So that's another way to do your flowers. That's stamping them, that's using the embossing. So let's do, so these are going to go on this one. So you pick up the gold from the gold embossing. So let's do the leaves next. So we'll do the simple one. I've die cut some of the leaves out of the Petals of Beauty. We're leaving these, using these leaves on this card, and on the other card we're going to use both because it's an over the top card. We'll use this one and this one. So I'm going to colour these with Mossy Meadow. Just a little bit of shading. So I've got my Mossy Meadow ink, which I'll need to put on a block, and I've got a blending brush. My blending brush is Old Olive. I didn't even have, that's how little love I've given Mossy Meadow. I did not even have a Mossy Meadow blending brush. So we are using my Old Olive brush. Old Olive is probably disgusted with that, but you know, tough. Right, so all I'm going to do here is add a little bit of shading into the base of the leaves. Whoops, not quite that much shading. That can be one of the ones that goes underneath. I've got too many leaves, so we'll discard that one. It's got a bit too heavy-handed. And that just tones it in. It's not as dark as Mossy Meadow, the full strength colour, but it will tone in with the colours. And I've used soft seafoam because I've used soft seafoam in the stamping underneath. Oh, I'm making a mess of these leaves. I'm in a hurry. Okay, so while we've got this out, we may as well do the other ones because they will also be inked with Mossy Meadow. So we'll do those at the same time. Ink over everything. It wants to be everywhere. So the stems will mainly sit underneath the flowers, so that's why I'm sort of starting, and they're hoping that all of the globby bits go in the middle. That one, and lastly this one. So Stampin' Up! Do have a class with the Brushed with Beauty, and you can purchase it. It is on the website. They make, if I remember rightly, it's 4 cards and either home decor or packaging of some sort. Can't quite remember. But they've got an entire class based around this particular suite of products. Right, now got all those done, so let's put this one together. So I'm going to cut these flowers up a little. No, flowers, leaves, don't stress leaves. So we'll just cut this one here. Cut that there, and then this one, these ones can be cut separately. Now, I'd like to hide that one, so maybe we'll do this one as well. This one can go up here. The flowers are going to go over the top. Okay, so we'll need one here. I'll just grab my tweezers, that makes it easier. And then we will do, what have we got left over? We'll do one of these. Tucked in here, and I'll need to cut this one. I don't know about any of you girls, but I'm starving. It's lunchtime here, so. All right, and that one can go down there. So it's going to be something like that. So we don't have to use that blobby one. So I'll go ahead and glue these on. Now I have the benefit that I have another one over here that I can sort of look at to get a rough idea of where I'm going to put my elements. Otherwise there'd be lots of humming and hawing while I tried to remember where I'd put things. So we'll put this one down. That. Just a little bit of glue on those leaves, a little bit of glue on this one. And it goes something like that. That's right. How are we going to put our leaf on? Something like that. So then these ones down here, That looks a bit strange, doesn't it? They need to sort of be the right way around. Something like that. Okay, so this one, pop down out of the bottom. And then these two can be down in the corner, sort of. So, of course, you would position this and work out exactly where you were going to put it. Take your little photo if you do it that way. And then at the moment, the first leaf I'm going to glue down flat. So we'll just add some glue to it. Cover up all of our stemmy bits. That, and then the second one will go on, so all that's stuck, with dimensionals. So I'll grab some of those, put them on the back. Oops. 4. Some wasted time taking backs off dimensionals. I know there's a myriad of different ways to do this, but I always just end up doing it with my fingers. Right, now we'll position this one somehow here. Like that. Okay, so that one is the flowers are done. Let's do the flowers on the other one, this one. So we've got all these leaves again. So same thing, we're going to cut them up. And then a similar positioning to the other one. Now, sometimes your glue doesn't quite like to stick to the embossing powder. Just bring this in and pop that down there like that for a minute. Right, what else have we got here? Use one down the bottom. Now, I'm going to use this long one that I've cut out because I'm going to stem these leaves across the gap, across the bridge. So we will need a couple of dimensionals on the middle leaves so they don't flop around. So let's put those on. And then just a little bit of glue on these two leaves. So one here and some over here. Pop that down there like that. Did I take the backs off those dimensionals? I bet you I didn't. No. Oh dear. I know it's a waste of time, but not so much that you can't do it. Right, put that down there for a minute. Glue another one on up here. We need another one popping out this side again. To pop a dimensional under that one. I've got a bit heavy-handed. Let's pop a little one underneath. I've got a bit ferocious with my where I put it. Here we go. That'll hold him up. All right. What else do we need? We need those couple that go down here. Where is everything going to sit? Oh, he had to come home. Oops. Oops-a-days. Now, before I glue these on, there are more leaves to go on, the other ones, but I'll just put these two last little ones down in the bottom here. something like that. I need to come down a smooch more. Oops. See, it doesn't. They don't want to stick. I'll just put this on the top. All right. So now the other ones are those I don't know, frothy ones, and they are way too long. So let's cut them off. Same with this one. Let's cut this one off. This one needs to be quite short. So this one's going to go down here, just over there like that. So all you need is a little tiny bit of glue so it doesn't smoosh out everywhere. Down there like that. And then the other one goes up on there like that. So a little bit of glue, just a couple of little dots, just enough to hold it. Flowers will hold the base down, but you don't want them flapping about too much. This stuck now. Right. Now again, one of these is going to go down with flat, just with glue, and the other one will go on with dimensionals. It's going to be quite a high card because I don't normally do 2 layers of dimensionals, but I have here. So let's pop this one so we can see all of those delicious leaves. Like that. And then dimensionals on the back of this one. We might put another one. Oh, we might not, because that can be the bit that sits out over the something like that. Yeah, we won't put one there. We just want to overlap them, but so that all the leaves show and the stems don't. There we go. Now I probably should have put one on there because now it's not sticking. All right, we'll put one on there. There we go. Okay. I do need some sentiments, and I was going to try and emboss them before I started because I knew I would be running out of time, but I didn't. So we'll just quickly do them now. So I'm doing one on black and one on mossy meadow. And I've got 2 different ones selected. So we will quickly do this. They're both going to be embossed with white. Now I could have used gold, but I didn't. There's just a bit too much gold in the gold one and not enough gold in the not gold one. So we're just using white. So we'll quickly do these. Shouldn't take too long, and I'm just going to hand cut them. So I will do 2 in case I get one goes awry. That one can be You've Been on My Mind, and this one is I Think You're Amazing. Right, get some powder onto these. Onto this one. Oh, this one's got white ink everywhere. Lucky I did 2. I can see that some of them aren't as good as the other. Right. Get them out of the road, and let's quickly heat those, and I will put the lid back on my glue. Bad, Cheryl. And I will look for my tweezers, which aren't here. They were. Use these ones. I've got the other ones, you know, oh, here they are, right here. These ones. These are great because you just don't even have to worry about holding them tense. They just sit there. They come in the embossing toolkit. No worries, Monica. Thank you. You too. See you. Really, Brenda? You say that every week. I love a girl who's easily pleased. Brenda says she thinks these are her most favourite cards of all time. Well, probably what she means is that she's seen me make. But it's lovely to hear that sort of comment. Thank you. There we go. Now this one, which has got little white specks everywhere, but I'm not going to worry about it because I am cutting these out. So there we go. Done. And they are very easy. I'm just going to cut them. So we'll do this one because it's dry. This amazing is much better than the other amazing. This amazing is amazing. So that's my amazing. And I think your out of this one is better too. I just better straighten it up a bit. Ta-da! How straight is it? Not very straight. Yoke. I think you're amazing. And we'll do this you've been. And this on your mind. Right, sentiment's done. I'll go away for something else. And then I'll glue those on now, and then we've got one other thing to do, which is our embellishments. So with this one, I'm going to use the black. Now, I did include black somewhere else in the other card by splattering with black. I haven't done it this time, so there isn't another black element. Just finding my dark and little tiny, here they are, some little dark embellishments to go underneath. Right, so this is going to go with the you've needs glue, and the rest of it needs little dimensionals. And hopefully I haven't made them so thin, but being black, it won't matter. Ooh, it just fits. Should have thought about that, shouldn't I? Right, I probably need another one because this is quite a long sentiment. And just a little bit of glue on the other end. Now these are longer than the other ones, so I'll have to be careful where I put them. This one up here, oops, I've got one of my dimensionals doesn't quite fit. There we go. Okay, I'll just hold that for a second. No, I won't. I'll let that block do the work while I put some on here. I think because this background is embossed, like dry embossed and then heat embossed as well, the liquid glue does take a little extra time to stick. And now let's pray I got that up the right way, shall we? Yes. Didn't do that very well, did I? Take this one off and move it. Put it up this end. Klutzy crafter. Right, that's going to go over that, so I'll put some glue there, over that leaf. Of changing up the sentiment has sort of slightly changed the design. There we go. You've been on my mind, and then I think you're amazing goes on this one. And this one's just going to go on flat. So nice and easy. But again, I need to just change up my design a little bit on this one. Squish it in close. And amazing. Put that up the right way, Cheryl. I think you're amazing. There we go. And then the last thing, because we've already done our insides, is to add some embellishments. Now I did play around with a heap of different embellishments, and the one that came up trumps was the loose frosted dots. Who remembers these? They've been around for a long time, but they're still there. So I'm going to use your yellow ones. They are very bright on one side, but they are nice and matte sort of looking on the other side. So let's get some out. So first of all, we'll put some glue down, just enough to take 3 little, see what I mean about covering up the yellow. Anyway, now you've got to get them up the right way. So we'll pick it up, and you usually need 2 somethings. 2 somethings, so you're a bit like a doctor, because doctors use somethings, don't they? 2 tools. Just plonk it down in the glue, and you might need to push them around a little bit like that. And then another small one, this one. Push them so they're all in the glue. Right, and the same for the other flower. Geez, the most time-consuming thing is finding the right size dots. Pop that one down. And pop another one. Oh, 2 at once. Oh, clever. Okay, now you do have to push them so that they all get in the glue, otherwise it's not going to stick. Goodness gracious, thank goodness I'm not a doctor. There we go. So that's that one. There is something else, but I'll do these flowers as well while we're here. A bit of glue. And let's see if I've got any of the right size left. I have been using these a bit, seeing as I rediscovered them. Moving on well. Another little one. Here's one. Oops, just ripped the blue stuff off the end of my take a pic tool. Klutzy crafter. Strikes again. They don't want to go up the right way. They like being on the rounded side. Oh, so pretty. That's a bit big, that one. Let's try a smaller one. Oops, lost it. Let's find some smaller ones. Here's one. Oh, a lot of glue there. And I guess it doesn't really matter if they're different sizes. There's a few different sizes in here. There's some large ones, some medium ones, small ones, and there's tinsy ones. So have a wide choice. Here's one. There we go. So that's, you can see a little bit of the green glue, but that will dry clear, so you won't see it, but it will hold it in place. And then the very last thing I did was I added some brushed brass butterflies. Just, this one didn't really need any gold, but I thought they looked pretty. I'm going to put one up. Maybe I could cover that. Is that too far away? No, that's good. That'll do. That covers up that black dot. I'll put one over here. Now normally you put 3. I think 2 is fine on this card. I mean, we've already gone so far overboard that we don't want to go too far overboard, do we? Right. Now, excuse my very messy background. Let me get rid of that while we have a look at these cards. Okay, here we go. Done. All right. So that's the 2 cards with the insides done. So that one says it's not quite straight. It says, I think you're amazing. And this one, you've been on my mind, is the over the top card. And here's the ones that I did create earlier, just to prove I really did make them. So this one says you're so sweet, which I really love. And it's the same, fluff. It's the inside done. And then this was the other over the top one. So they'll all end up a little bit different, a little bit of a different layout. I really like the You're So Sweet. I think that fits on there a little bit better. But a cute way to show off the paper as a small piece. Now, you could use the designer series paper if you like, but I really love the fact that this is bright and a real foil for the Mossy Meadow cardstock. So how was that? Let me come back over. Thank you, ladies. I'm glad you enjoyed them. Even though they're Mossy Meadow, I think I quite love them. Let me come back to me and find the me button. There we go. So yes, I was quite happy with those as I was creating them. They had a good vibe, a good feeling. So I hope that you enjoyed watching through with me, and thank you for sticking around for so long. We've gone a long time over today, but have made 2. Oh, here's my sister. My sister's come in. Hello, Sandy. I showed the girls your beautiful card earlier on that you sent me. So, yes, thank you for that. It's gorgeous. A true artist. But yes, so they're my simple and over-the-top cards for today. So I hope you have enjoyed working with me with the Brush with Beauty Suite. And Brenda, I hope you will get your Brush with Beauty Suite out and use it because it is absolutely gorgeous. It's lovely to work with. So many things that you can do with this suite. I've lost a little thing that has to go back on one of my cards I just noticed. So, yep, I will see you again. What is next week? We might not have a live next week. I don't even know what day it is. See how we go. But it's going to be pretty busy, I would think. So that we may have to skip next week and then be back in the week after. I don't even know what days things fall on. Let me have a quick look. Oh, it definitely won't be Thursday next week. And then New Year's Day is Thursday in the week after, and I might still do a live on New Year's Day because I think that would be a lovely way to celebrate the new year. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Everyone have a very lovely festive season. Be safe. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.